Trust the Profits, it's the formula here. We are doing a full field rundown of the Risen Star Stakes at the fairgrounds happening this Saturday, February 15th. And what is the Risen Star? The Risen Star is outstanding. I do love this race a lot. I love it that it's at the fairgrounds. Love the city of New Orleans. Um, but let's talk about recent history here for the Risen Star, right? Sierra Leone won this race last year, came in second at the Derby, very close. Could have been horse of the year this past year. He won the Breeders' Cup Classic. Pretty impressive year for Sierra Leone, but also ran with some pretty impressive company. Yes, I will look down at my notes here, maybe to the side, if you will. Honor Marie, Track Phantom, Catching Freedom, and Resilience also ran in this race last year. So we're talking a quarter of the Kentucky Derby was actually in this race before. How about that? The year before, no less impressive, Angel of Empire, third in the Derby, Two Phil's second in the Derby. So you have two-thirds of the winners of the Kentucky Derby, or in the money, I should say, of the Kentucky Derby. Everything but the winner was in this race 2 years ago. 2 years ago? Yeah. 3 years. Anyway, however you want to do the math on that, the year that Mage won, Angel of Empire, Two Phil's, and Sun Thunder also in this race. Year before that, you got Epicenter. Year before that, you got Mandaloun, who won the Kentucky Derby with an asterisk, I understand. He did not win the race outright. He was given the race afterwards after Medina Spirit was disqualified. And for that, we've got NAs next to Modernist and Mr. Monomoy, but those were extremely solid horses. I've seen some outstanding talent come out of here. Looking down, we've also got Gunrunner winning. Hello. I mean, head to toe, this is an outstanding stakes race. And this year should be no different. I'm going to give you a little bit of an eye view there. Yeah, we've got 13 horses entered in. A number of horses that we've been tracking here, Trust the Profits, for quite some time. So when I saw this list come out, I got very excited. 13 horses entered in. It's a G2. It is 9 furlongs, which I like to see. I like when they start to stretch it out before the Derby, getting a little bit closer to that 1.25 mark. 500K purse, G2, fairgrounds. Let's dive into this, shall we? Let's start with American Promise. Last time we saw American Promise, it was at the Southwest Stakes. Moved up to second place down the backstretch around the half-mile mark, continuing on to the three-quarters mark. But faded to sixth place and got DQ'd even lower to seventh place, 6 lengths behind Speed King there. Not exactly the best performance for American Promise. Took him 6 times to break his maiden. Did so at Oak Lawn. Dropped to 144.81, which is okay. It's not, anything I would look at and say, okay, got to tag him as a Derby horse here. Beating Publisher, going gate to wire in that one. Got to like the bloodlines, Justify and Tap It. It's getting Keith Asmussen as his jockey this time around. D. Wayne Lucas is the trainer. So outside shot at best, in my opinion, for American Promise. Moving on. Jonathan's Way. Jonathan's Way is a horse a lot of us got excited about when we saw him at the Iroquois. We'll get to that in a second. One thing to note here, Jonathan's Way, you're getting a jockey change. Coming off as Joel Rosario, coming on as Jose Ortiz. We'll see if that makes a difference here. Last time out, he got a second place finish at the Kentucky Jockey Club. Bumped early, settled into 5th place early on, 3 lengths off of the lead. Down the backstretch, close to second, still 2 lengths off of First Resort in the Kentucky Jockey Club. Before that, he's part of the Mosh Pit in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, 7th place there, starting out in 5th place. Failing to make any sort of bid, was 7 lengths off of Citizen Bull when it was all said and done. But before that, ran a really impressive Iroquois Stakes. Came to a lot of our attention at that point, going gate to wire, beating Owen Almighty, who we just saw this past weekend, by 2 3/4 lengths. Jonathan's Way, I think, despite having a couple stumbles here, a lot of us hoped that he was going to win the Kentucky Jockey Club. Dropped on our list a little bit, but this is really a time for him to step up and show that he's worthy of being a Kentucky Derby horse. Vassimo. So we have not heard this name called a whole lot on the Derby Trail. Todd Pletcher. This is a Todd Pletcher trained horse, 2 wins. Most recently, a 1 mile and 40 yarder at Tampa Bay. Not a very distinctive race, but he ran a 139, which is pretty outstanding. I think he was probably within about a second of the track record for that. which is one reason that he is notable. Another reason, Todd Pletcher has Irad Ortiz on him. Another reason, Nyquist is the sire. Vassimo is. I'm curious to see what's going to happen here. So we haven't had the morning lines yet. Todd Pletcher, Irad. You think that this horse is probably going to get bet down a little bit because of that, but there's a lot of horses in here that have accomplished a lot more than Vassimo so far. So there could be a significant value in a horse like Vassimo here, a horse that has yet to lose and has done a little bit of distance here, mile 40. That's not too bad. That's not yet 8.5 furlongs. It's definitely not 9, but it's creeping up there. This is a curious play here, and could find some value potentially. Spoiler alert. East Avenue, 3 races, 2 wins. One is made in the first time out. Winner of the Claiborne Futurity, going gate to wire there, charging hard down the stretch for a 4-length win over Ferocious, who's fallen off a little bit. But then got to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, stumbled badly out of the gates, never recovered. I mean, he was in the back the whole time, and you just kind of got the feeling that with that gate stumble, they were just essentially calling it at that point. With good reason. You don't want it, if you think you got the horse and you got a bad start and there's no use recovering from it, you don't want to burn out the horse trying to gain any sort of ground that isn't going to make that much of a difference. And on that day, it probably would not have. Here's the thing. Are we going to see him pull some rabbit out of the hat performance here like we saw at the at Ellis Park, we saw at the Claiborne Futurity? We'll see. I mean, a lot of us have been waiting to see this next performance by East Avenue. A lot of us have him very high on our lists here at Trust the Profits, especially. So, yeah, going into this one, he's got to be the favorite. Chunk of Gold. We got ourselves a Turfway horse here last time out. The Leonidas Stakes, 1 mile on artificial surface there, starting 8 lengths back at the quarter mile mark, but then closing to lose just by 2.5 lengths to Baby Max. Made up a ton of ground in that race. Winner in his first maiden special weight, 6 furlongs, stalking the pace early on, closing down the stretch for a win by a neck over D Bigelow. So Chunk of Gold, a little bit of a weird one here coming from Turfway Park. You get those occasionally. Not to say this one's coming in with a whole bunch of press or anything like that. Not high on my list, but a curious entry. Seattle Road, 1 win in 5 attempts. Last time out, 7th place at the Lacombe Stakes, starting out in 12th, 10 lengths back. Closed the gap quite a bit, though. 3 3/4 lengths behind Disco Time. So think about that. I mean, he really did lock it down, but started way back early on. It wasn't enough for him to overcome and get up to 7th. He was kind of in that gap there where a lot of horses, I mean, he moves up 1 more length and he's probably like in 4th place, potentially 3rd place. So 7th place isn't as bad as it sounds for Seattle Road in that race. Broke his maiden at Fairgrounds in his 4th attempt in an 8.5 furlong maiden special, closing from 6th and 7th to beat Cromwell by a head. This Tom Amos horse is for sure a deep closer. So if we get into that situation here, 9 furlongs might set up well for this quality road horse. Septarian, 2 wins and 1 third place. That 3rd place coming at the Mucho Macho Man Stakes a while back, starting 4 lengths back in 6th place and then closing, but still 4 lengths back of Guns Loaded and Treaty of Rome in that one, who are dueling it out nose to nose. Winner of 7 horse, 6 furlong, 500K allowance optional claimer at Laurel Park, staying 1 length off the pace in that one, closing for a 2-length win over Say True to Me. Stay True to Me? Say True to Me? Doesn't matter. Horses isn't in this race. This is a Chad Brown horse. Flavian Pratt on the mount here. Mucho Macho Man. Based on what we've seen from Guns Loaded, and it's a 1-mile race, which suits Guns Loaded a little bit more. Would have liked to see more from Septarian in that race if really thought that he had a chance to compete in this one. Granted, you're adding on an extra furlong here for a horse that shown that he wants to close a bit. So maybe this is the spot where he opens up, but there are just so many other horses I like a little bit better. Wanted to consider him, but couldn't find the room for him. Giocoso, 2 wins, a 2nd and a 3rd lifetime in 6 races. Winner of a 127K turf allowance optional claimer, going 8.5 furlongs in that one, starting 4 lengths back, closing down the stretch for a 3/4 lengths win over Papiamento. The last dirt race this horse had, mostly a turf horse so far, but ran a couple dirt races. The last one got third at the Iroquois, a race that we talked about before. Jonathan's Way won that one, beat Giocoso by 7 lengths in that one. So kind of using that as a barometer to understand where this horse could match up in this race. Obviously, those two races are quite a bit different in distance, so that could end up playing into this as well. We saw that 8.5 furlongs. The horse was good for it on turf. Is he going to be? Is he going to make the transition to dirt and show that same ability? I'll just have to wait and see. But like I said, there's a lot of good horse in this race, including Built. This is a horse that I've really liked. So 2 wins, second and a third lifetime. Switching from Jareth Loveberry to Luis Saez, it's a very curious switch there. I've been a big Luis Saez fan for a while. Jareth Loveberry as well, but Luis Saez is a premium jockey. Second at the Lecomte Stakes in sloppy environment, starting 4 lengths back at the pace, closing hard down the stretch, challenging out Disco Time there. Thought he might pass Disco Time, but Disco Time pulled deep to beat him by a neck there. This is the horse that did win the Gun Runner, going gate to wire in that race, beating Magnitude by 6 3/4 lengths. Wayne Catalano, Luis Saez, hard spun. I have liked Built for a while. I don't mind saying it again. Render Judgment. Thought this horse ran something more recent than the Gun Runner, but apparently not. Third at the Gun Runner, starting 2 lengths off the lead, but falling back 9 lengths from Built in that one. So really started to fade down the stretch in a horse that I was expecting to be a bit more of a deep closer based on what he had shown previous to that. Got fifth at the Kentucky Jockey Club, starting off 5 lengths off the lead in that one, but finishing 8 lengths behind First Resorts. This is a horse, definitely haven't seen his best, I feel. Ken McPeak, BJ Hernandez. We'll see what happens in this race, but man, he's really fallen behind here. He would need to do something pretty spectacular here to get back on my radar. Jolly Samurai, 3 wins in 5 races, 9th place at the Lecomte Stakes, getting bumped to the back early on, facing heavy traffic, was 13 to 14 lengths behind for most of the race, and improved to 7 lengths behind Disco Time by the finish to get that 9th place finish. So considering how bad he started, he actually did make up quite a bit of ground there, which is impressive because I think one of the knocks I had on him going into that race was how he was going to be able to handle the distance. And really, it was how he handled the start, or the luck that he had at the start, really. But it seemed like he still had plenty to close down the stretch, just too much to make up for Jolly Samurai. Got fifth at the Remington Springboard, which is another reason that I wasn't really high on him. Getting fifth at the Remington Springboard, behind Cole Battle, who I didn't think had an outstanding finish in that race. Won the Clever Trevor, 7 furlong Remington race, closing from 6 to beat Dominant Spirit by half a length in that one. He's a deep closer, but is he too deep? does he close too late? That's what I've seen so far in these higher level races. Vamos Carlitos. 2 wins, 1 second place lifetime. Last time out, 8.5 furlongs allowance optional claimer. Got second place in that one at Fairgrounds. Started 3 or 4 lengths back, moved up, but still lost to Admiral Dennis, and not a spectacular race there. I think it was like a 146 finish time, which for 8.5 furlongs is not what you're hoping for with a Derby hopeful. Got first in a 1-mile claiming race at Churchill Downs, stalking the pace early on and then closing to beat Gardner by 3/4 of a length. For that, ran in an 8.5 furlong allowance race that Giocoso won. This horse was never really involved, though, never near the pace, finished 11th. Yeah, I've got concerns about a lot of things here for Vamos Carlitos. Concerns about his ability to match the speed. The speed does heat up. Is he just going to fall way back? That's kind of where I've got Vamos Carlitos now. And finally, Magnitude. So going into Lecomte, I was a little bit high on Magnitude, not nearly as high as some of the other horses, such as Disco Time or Um, drawing a blank on him right now. I want to say Built, but Poster, I believe it was. Um, it's in there somewhere. Maybe it was Built. Um, yeah, I was he was probably like my 3rd or 4th horse. He ended up finishing 6th, started out 5 to 6 lengths back, slowly moving up to 2 and 3/4 lengths behind Disco Time in a pack that finished in that 4 to 7 range. Um, yeah, I interesting to see it. Maybe if he gets a better start here, he's gonna produce a bit more. I mean, this is, I think, what they're thinking with Magnitude right now. Didn't have the best finish at Lecomte, turns it around here, maybe finishes in the money, shows you something like what he showed at Gunrunner, pushing the pace set by Built, but fading down the stretch to lose by 6 lengths in that one. It's still faded though, still faded big time. And Built was the horse I was thinking of when it came to Lecomte. I get Built and Poster confused for some mysterious, strange reason. But yeah, Magnitude. This would have to definitely be a bounce back horse for Steve Asmussen. Um, is he going to do it here? Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Don't have to wait and see any longer for what my picks are, though. And this is what I think is going to happen in terms of safe versus value. My safe play here can almost guarantee there's going to be a low number on East Avenue. So that's easily my safe play. In terms of value, because there's horses like Built and Jonathan's Way in this race, and East Avenue for that matter, I think they're going to take a bit more money, even though Todd Pletcher and Irad Ortiz are on Vassimo. I don't think you're gonna get a great number on Vassimo, but probably better than you would anytime you see those 2 names together. So we'll go with that for now. The other horses I do have on here, Jonathan's Way and Built, make up my key box. So you're gonna key in East Avenue, add in Vassimo, Jonathan's Way, and Built. Some horses here interested me. I talked about Magnitude before. I think he's probably one of the more interesting ones that could give you more value than one of these others here. But I'm I'm going with my gut here. I think it's gonna end up being the best horses of the bunch that are gonna make this happen, and these are the ones I think that are best. So that's what I got today. Let me click out of this. All right. So what do you guys have? What do you think of this Risen Star? Is it one of your favorite races, favorite prep races like it is mine? Who do you have winning today? And are there any Derby horses here? And do I need a shave? Yeah, I think so. I think so. Camera's having a hard time focusing in on this scruff. Anyway, hope you guys have a great day. Gamble responsibly as always, and good luck at the track.